ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another Babbler's video. My name is Zaru, and this is the Confines of the Crown. Now, the Confines of the Confines of the Crown is actually another visual novel RPG style thingy-mabobber that I've never played before, ever. However, it was strongly recommended to me by everybody. Nobody I know personally, but everybody. When I started looking for games similar to Long Live the Queen, this one popped up, and it's also made by the same people who made Long Live the Queen, and everyone swears by it being a really great game. I've never played it, so let's go ahead and I'll stop babbling and we'll get into this. Prologue, the presentation. Oscar's hair never behaves. He tried to grow it out 2 years ago, but he gave up long before reaching the adventurous man's ponytail he was hoping to achieve. Instead of gently bouncing waves, he got lank clumps that brushed his cheeks and made him fidget like a pup with fleas. In the end, it irritated him enough that he stole the shears while I was away and shaved his head near bald, at least in the places he could reach. Then he sulked when I showed him in a mirror. We hid him from the public for months after that. Oh dear. But now his hair reflects his nature, sweet, rumpled, and unruly, a clumsy little boy in the body of a young man. Are you interested in this young man? You're not supposed to make him fall in love with you, I read that. Do I look alright? You look fine, my lord. Why do you keep calling me that? You never did before. We've never been in a foreign palace before, my lord. It's important that we make a good impression on your potential bride. That means no making eyes at the royal chefs to get an extra pastry. You know your place, and I know mine. You must maintain dignity. Right up until I choke on my own foot, like I always do. Well, when you're wedded, you'll have a wisdom to rely on. Only if I actually do find a princess willing to have me. Your wife could still be wise and wealthy even if she isn't a king's wisdom. If I married you, I would have a wise wife. Oh, stop it. Stop flirting with me. And then you'd starve to death. Of coffee, by the way. I like to drink coffee when I record, so deal with it. You are not allowed to try and make a silk purse out of me just because you're afraid you won't impress Princess Cassidy. Princess Cassidy, oh my. My lord. There, see, you were doing better for a moment. I can't do this alone, Maddie, and you can't give me proper advice if you're too busy bowing to keep your eyes open. Wow, he's kind of like Moody. I give in and stick my tongue out at him in a most undignified manner. Oh, they're so cute together. There's my girl. Don't say that. People will get the wrong idea. Gosh. Which wrong idea? Oh, you know perfectly well, Prince Oscar. That we're something more than friends, which we're not, and we never will be. I know. Prince Oscar is very, very disturbed. Not disturbed, he's very sad that he can't be with Madeleine. Or Madeleine. Help me with the belt? Sorry, okay, I'm gonna stop. Yes, my lord. Prince Oscar of Ossendower is something close to my best friend. He's also my employer, or the son of my employer, depending on how you look at it. More importantly, he is my responsibility, one that I will not fail. By the way, if you don't get, the narrator or protagonist is Madeleine, or Madeleine. And so we're kind of following the story from her perspective here. So sometimes we get to look into her head, like we are right now. And, yeah. I was born Miss Madeleine. Madeline. I think it's Madeleine. I was born Miss Madeleine Valois, daughter of a cadet branch of an insignificant noble house. To my misfortune, I was also born the second daughter, and as such, what little wealth and prestige remained in our line was settled upon my sister. There was simply not enough to divide between us and leave us any pretense of gentility. Thus I was raised to be my sister's shadow. her replacement in case of disaster, and to have nothing of my own. I was taught to be silent and supportive and never to disgrace my family by displaying my own desires. So you were repressed from being a human being. If I had learned my lessons well enough, I might be there still. Instead, my greatest mistake became my only opportunity. Oh. I was in the first rush of adolescence at the time, enjoying the freedom to run with longer legs. My family were attending court, making conversation with people far too important for the presence of a child who was heir to nothing. I was ordered to stay in our rooms, unseen and unheard, and wait patiently for their return. Just like a good child. But I wanted a mid-afternoon snack, and I was tired of waiting. I came up with a plan that involved leading my governess on a false trail while I lifted the keys from a careless steward and wriggled my way into the palace cellars. There I discovered that I was not the first child to mount a mountain expedition for sweets. A blond boy, his face streaked with tears, had managed to trap his hand between the planks of an old crate. It fell to me to calm him down and work out a plan to get him free unharmed and both of us out of there without being caught. If I had known he was a prince, I might have been more successful. I thought his family, like mine, wouldn't want to raise a fuss or admit that anything had gone wrong. Instead, my escape route led us straight into the path of his parents' frantic searching. Even then, I tried to protect him. My mother was horrified at what I'd done. She would have had me whipped and confined to my room on bread and water for a week. The king of Ossendwar saw things differently. Saw in me someone who could keep up with his youngest son's mischief and get him out of trouble safely. Thus I received a royal appointment as the valet of the young Prince Oscar, his companion, his maidservant, his advisor, and his agent. For the first time in my life, I had a place that belonged to me. I have studied for him, trained and fought for him, if necessary. I am expected to give my life for him. I will not fail. Okay, so blah 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 blah. I'll read it in a second. So we're kind of getting like this picture of what kind of personality she has. So unlike Long Live the Queen, I'm actually going to sort of play into what her personality is supposed to be. So I'll make choices according to how I feel Madeleine would make the choices. Not a personification that I put on her, but rather the one that the book is actually, or the visual novel is actually presenting to us. Now that Oscar is reaching adulthood, he must find a bride willing to give control of her ancestral lands to him. Excuse me. I would not say it and discourage him, but I do not expect it to be these lands. Gwendolynor is a large and powerful kingdom, and the competition is likely to be fierce. I have never met Princess Cassidy, but I know she is quite young. She's certainly under no obligation to choose a husband in a hurry. This occasion is only the beginning of a long process for all of us. Still, her debut is a small and prestigious gathering, and it was a good fortune that Oscar received an invitation. Here he will gain experience in dealing with royal women who are not his relations, so that he can achieve a good marriage in the future. That is my final purpose, to repair him and polish him, to make him a man whom a princess could trust with her heart and her home. If no one wishes him for her husband, then all these years have been wasted. I will be sent home in disgrace, a nothing, a worse than nothing. And yet, if he is chosen, then he will become a king, and the master of a territory far from his birth, and he will leave me behind. What happens to me then? I can't let my worries about the future distract me. I have to focus on Oscar and everything that is happening right now. No matter what happens, I will stay in control. I won't let anyone down. Not my family, not Oscar, and not myself. Very determined. I think you're ready. Are you coming? You're allowed to attend the presentation, just not the ball. Of course. I need to see your competition. Good. Madeleine? Yes? I want you to know, I really appreciate everything you do for me. Oh, okay. So I can't let him fall in love with me. That's, and I know this. Like, as the character said, he can't fall in love with me and it would never work out. So I'm not saying that one. Stop wasting time. Now you're just dawdling, my lord. He lets out a slow breath and shakes his head. Well, I suppose we should go. The presentation hall of the Kingdom of Gwendolynor is not so much larger than that of my homeland, but the decorations seem more ornate. jewels more lustrous. Perhaps it is only the dazzle of unfamiliarity. I have never crept along these walls on a secretive errands, nor been forced to polish them as punishment. Only 3 foreign princes are present for these festivities. According to court gossip, 5 were invited, but one politely declined, and the other, somewhat less politely, refused to attend any event which involved Prince Nizagi. Therefore, this debut becomes an intimate affair, and might appear that much more advantageous for those present. But the central focus of this event is the princess herself, Gwendolyn, whatever her name is. Is that steward a female?
Her Enlightened Highness, the Princess Cassidy.
Oh. Gorgeous. Pink hair. That's totally natural. She walks into the room with poise, her head held high, then hesitates, looking rapidly back and forth over the assembled personages before continuing to her assigned position. She cannot acknowledge anyone here until they have been formally announced, of course, but no one could blame her for indulging in a moment's curiosity. Gwelenor's heir has been famously kept in a cloistered existence until now. Out of fear for her health, she might never have seen so many strangers at once. As we are gathered in celebration of her anniversary, the princess must have only the barest blush of 18 years. That's still a hell of a lot older than frickin' Elodie. Younger even than Oscar. Yet her face holds more maturity than her years would allow. She looks closer to my age, some 2 or 3 years older. Now, I've always had a hard time distinguishing between an 18 and 21, 22-year-old. I mean, is there really that much of a physical difference? Well, and anyway, determining a woman's age is always an inexact science. Well, there you go. And a noble woman's more so. In her youth, my mother was often mistaken for younger than she was, to her chagrin, and forced to disguise herself with paints and artifice to give the correct impression. This trait... Whoops. I didn't realize that the mouse wheel would actually progress the story. Okay, I better keep my finger off the mouse wheel. She walks into the room with poise, her head held... Oh, shit. Oh! So I can go back. Well, that's nice. This trait, like so much else, she did not pass to me. Wait, so I look older then? Whatever. Now that the princess is in place, the guests can be announced.
His Royal Highness the Prince Gaston!
Gaston! I hate Gaston already. The name alone exudes Beauty and the Beast proportions of assholeness. Oh yeah. The Prince of Bardowin is a golden barrel of a man. His curls as gleaming as the buckles on his shoes, and every conceivable place in between. So broad are his shoulders that I imagine, if startled, his mighty arms would tear right through his glittering wardrobe. I do not envy his tiring woman. Oh God. With brisk strides, he crosses the hall, stopping neatly at the minimum distance from the princess that propriety will permit, and sweeps a dramatic bow. They're gonna have you take care of his dogs and his sons and polish his boots, but rub his feet by the fire. It is my greatest pleasure to be... Wait.
It is my greatest pleasure to be in the presence of such a rare flower as your highness.
Thank you.
In honor of your anniversary, I present you with this rare and Tapatonian existence. May its scent bring you joy.
He offers her a bottle of faceted dark glass, capped with gold, which she takes with interest.
A perfume? What does it smell like?
The servant beside her makes a quick chopping gesture with her hand.
I shouldn't open that here. Thank you, Prince Gaston, and welcome to Gweleanor.
Oh, that's right, Cassidy, not Gweleanor's is the kingdom. Right. She hands the bottle to an attendant who sets it aside. Prince Gaston bows his head and then steps aside for the next presentation. God, how many of these are we going to have?
His Royal Highness the Prince Nizagi.
Yes, he looks like a Nizagi. The Prince of Asenath is a slender, sharp-featured man attired in the finest of skills, which glide attired in the finest silks, which glide soundlessly along the floor as he walks. His delicacy and refined appetites are well known, as are the rumors of his less appealing qualities. He is not a warm face. The narrow eyes, the elegant nose, the thin lips, all seem crafted for expression of cruelty. I am not a flighty scullion to believe everything I hear. I find it entirely likely that it is his appearance which gives rise to such tales, and not any actions the prince has taken. Still, I would be cautious if I found myself alone with him. Approaching the princess, he bows with his hands at his sides.
Gracious Highness, you do me much honor with your invitation. I only hope my humble gifts can convey my gratitude.
He snaps his fingers, and a servant rushes forward to present the princess with bundles of blue and purple silk.
You are very kind, Prince Nazagi. Be welcome.
And I'm sorry if, my voice for everybody changes slightly, because I can't remember everybody's voices. Some people can do that. I'll work on it to get better at it, but I apologize if, my voice changes for each person a little bit. Prince Nazagi bows a second time and steps backward, retreating without ever turning his back on the princess. And then it is our turn.
His Royal Highness, the Prince Oscar.
Why did everyone... These guys have,
Gaston and Nazaki,
and now it's Oscar. Oscar.
The Prince Oscar.
He may not be the most elegant man in the room, but Oscar is a prince nonetheless. He walks with confidence, then presses his hand to his chest and bows with one foot sliding respectfully back. Your Highness, I thank you for granting me the opportunity to meet you and to convey my good wishes in person. I bring you the gift of a flower that will never fade. He holds up a blue velvet presentation box containing a brooch in the shape of a rose, its petals encrusted with jewels.
It's lovely, thank you.
She seems honestly pleased, and his answering grin is equally sincere. Bow, bow. Had he stopped there, he would have left an excellent impression. Oh God, Oscar, what are you gonna do, Oscar? Oh no. Oh no. Nobody told me this story would have cringe in it. I also wrote you a poem. Would you like to hear it? Please shut the fuck up. Oh no. As fairest maid to fairest day can wish the darkest cares away. I love it. It's so clever. As fish and frog shall meet and laugh upon the golden seed and chaff. What? The servant behind the princess clears her throat audibly.
Perhaps you could tell it to me later? I mustn't keep everyone waiting.
Yeah, Oscar. Come on. Have a little self-awareness. Oh, right. Well, joyeux anniversaire. I don't know if I said that right. Whatever. With a parting bow, Oscar backs away and thus the presentation of the three princes is concluded. But here's the thing. I thought the presentation... If he was the last one, then what does it matter if he takes a little extra time? Yeah. Court etiquette. Oh, never mind. There is, however, a fourth prince in the palace, a ruffian. He is Prince Callum, the youngest living son of the King Guelinor, and still a bachelor. So it's just his brother. The sour expression on his face does him no favors. I wonder if he looks that way all the time, or if it's just the presence of his competitors that curdles the stomach. Wait. I thought it's his sister. Some men are like that. All princes are his competition. Not for Princess Cassidy, of course, but for any other heir. Okay, good. I was going to is this going to have some incestual business going on? But for any other heir he might hope to win, any prince can marry a princess, if she chooses him. A birth order makes no difference. A man rises or falls by his charms and his ambition. Charm has to be Oscar's strength, because ambition never was. I suppose that's my fault. It was hard to teach him to want more when life seemed so happy as it was. The servant besides Princess Cassidy rings a silver handbell. At that delicate tone, Princess Cassidy clasps her hands together and smiles at us all.
In the name of my mother, wise Paloma.
God, what an ugly name. I'm sorry if your name's Paloma. No offense.
I bid you all welcome to Guelinor. May your visits be filled with joy.
With those words, she withdraws from our company.
Formal dinner will begin in 1 hour. At your convenience, please assemble in the drawing room for aperitifs.
That invitation is extended to the assembled dignitaries, of course, and does not include attendants such as myself. We will feed upon the leavings of the feast while they and the local nobility are at the ball. I have no true desire to attend a royal ball. Glittering costumes and skilled musicians create a wonderful atmosphere, but the need to maintain a perfect appearance through hours of socializing on your feet must spoil it. Certainly, Oscar always complains. I expect we servants have far more fun spying on the activities of our masters. Yes, we. I'm hardly alone in my more clandestine skills. Every palace has its secrets, and people whose roles it is to find them, or bury them. Every noble needs tasks done on the quiet now and then, and some treasures are more closely guarded than sweets in a cellar. As the gathering dissolves, Oscar touches my arm and takes me aside. Oscar loves me so much. Well, what do you think? Did she like me? Oscar, I gotta break it to you. That poem, all 2 lines of it, was freaking amazing. However, you need to show a little more grace, Mr. Oscar.
She appeared to like everyone.
Be serious.
In terms of gifts, she clearly had more interest in the jewelry and the perfume than in the silk.
But what did she think of me? Like, as if Madeleine has some sort of secret power. Well, you know what? Women do have secret powers. They can tell what other women think of men.
That you're young and impetuous, and don't know when to stop talking, I expect, and that your poetry is terrible.
Ouch, Madeleine. Ouch. Oh, although that is kind of my personality. No, that's what you think.
That's what everyone thinks, because it's true.
So you think she doesn't like me?
I didn't say that. She's new at this too. She's young, she's lonely, and her manners aren't perfectly polished. You should talk to her tonight. You might make good friends.
Right, the ball. There's something I should tell you. Oh, Oscar.
You changed your mind about the shoes?
No, the shoes are fine. It's in my valise. There's a red scroll case. There's a letter inside it. The letter's for you. Oscar, are you going to pronounce your love for me? We're only 20 minutes into this game.
What?
Why would you be carrying a letter for me? Who would it be from? I don't have any other close connections. My family? They see me once a year to ensure I haven't lost my position or disgraced my upbringing, and other than that, they barely seem to remember that I exist. I can't see them sending me praises or asking for favors. What if some ill fate did befall my sister? What if they want me to give up on my place and go back to them as if nothing had happened? I'd have to go. It's my duty, but I think it's probably more like a profession of love, but whatever. We'll see. Don't look so worried. It's easy for him to say. Just read it, okay? He wants my reassurance, so I'd better give it to him. After all, this could be nothing, and I don't want to distract him from his performance tonight.
All right.
Good. I'll see you later tonight. Oh no, he's stammering already with my good looks and sexy perfume and unshaved armpits. That was typical of women in the era. Now he's the one looking worried.
Relax, you're doing fine. Go and have a good time.
But not too good, right?
Try not to cause an international incident.
My lord. There's no use trying to sound formal when you're scolding me.
Yes, my lord.
Now that's no fun. No, my lord. Now she's just mocking him. He sighs and shakes his head. Alright, I'm going. I don't answer him, but merely nod my head. At last, he turns away to follow the others. I'm on my own. I took a roundabout route back to our assigned quarters, scouting my environment while never straying far enough out of bounds to attract attention. I wasn't looking for anything in particular, it's simply a habit. Learn your way around when you don't need to, so that the knowledge is there when it becomes useful. It's only a coincidence that it allows me to put off reading the letter, right? I can almost make myself believe that. Almost. Oscar told me not to worry, which in itself probably means that I should. If he can say such a thing, he must know what the letter is. Not my family summoning me home. If he knew something like that, he would have wanted to talk about it earlier, I'm sure. He wouldn't keep that hidden. Perhaps it's not from my family, but from his. A secret assignment to be performed in Guelinor? Possibly. Maybe the Guelinors have some skeletons in their closets. Oh well, quickest begun is soonest done. Sure. That's what helps you sleep at night. I opened the valise and carefully left out folded items of clothing until I discovered the cylinder of red leather. It has a more solid heft than I expected. Either the leather is very thick indeed, or there's something more than a letter inside. I unbuckle the cap and shake out an unsealed roll of parchment and a little blue velvet box. Uh-oh. Little blue boxes from princes? What does this mean? What is this? Is it a proposal? No. Open the box to find another piece of jewelry, though far cry from the sparkling fantasy offered to Princess Cassidy. It's a pendant, a polished stone wrapped in wire. Its color a warm honey gold speckled with light, but why is it here? I suppose I ought to read the letter. I suppose you ought to. My dearest Maddie, I've been wanting to tell you how I feel, but every time I try, you turn me aside or laugh it away. I would write you a poem, but I know you hate my poetry, so I'll just say it simply. I love you. I know that you can never return my affections. You still think of me as that child with his hand caught in a cookie jar, a little boy who didn't even come up to your chin. I get older, but so do you, and I can't ever catch up. I'm telling you this because it's true, and not because I expect you to do anything about it. That's why I'm writing it down instead of telling you in person. I don't want to embarrass you, or make you have to answer. I would never want you to pretend to love me. All I want is for you to know how I feel. Please wear my token to show that you understand, and I will never mention it again. I want to know that you know, and that you don't hate me. That's all. You want me to be a good prince and win a royal bride, so I'll do it, but I'm doing it for you. Yours, Oscar. Oh, Oscar. I am but a lowly, insignificant noblewoman. Your slave. I don't think she's gonna wear it. Letter goes blurry as my eyes sting with moisture. Oh, Oscar, do you really think it's just because you're younger than I am? He's a prince, the son of a king. He's been raised in luxury and trained to govern and inspire. I am a servant with no land, no fortune, no inheritance at all. What would he have if he married me? Whatever gift his family saw fit to hand out, if they didn't disown him on the spot, and then nothing. My employment would by necessity be terminated, and we would be turned out into the town to support ourselves, a fool's paradise soon crumbled to dust. Yeah, this girl has a good head on her shoulders, and it is a crying shame that she can't return his love. What would we do? Neither he nor I have ever been trained in a profession. Where would we live? We wouldn't have so much as a roof over our heads. It doesn't matter how I feel about him, or how he feels about me. It can't happen. I wouldn't do that to him. He's wrong to think I didn't know. Of course I do. All the more reason for me to keep my own emotions under control. But how do you feel, Madeleine? That's what everyone wants to know. And if you hear, clashing around in the background, my mother-in-law's making noises. And, she's here for whatever, doing her thing. Practically from my cradle, I was trained in self-control. My emotions, my reactions, even my face, never to flinch, never to cry, never to say what I wanted or to have any wants beyond doing what my parents told me to. I was supposed to sit quietly in the background until I was needed. Eventually, I suppose, I would have lived in my sister's house, as a poor relation and unpaid housekeeper, and never had a life of my own. My little rebellion, my misadventure, came as a shock to my parents, who had thought me so obedient, but even out of their care, I'm still the daughter they raised. It remains my nature to be cautious, quiet, and restrained, no matter what I feel inside. So, she feels something inside that I guess we're supposed to get the impression that she may have feelings for him. But she just represses it. I'm good at it, sometimes so good that I don't even know my own feelings anymore, except with Oscar. He makes me laugh, he teases me, and forces me to tease him back. He lights up when he smiles. Even now, when he's not here, he's almost managing to make me cry. He's been my best friend all these years. I owe him everything, and I won't let him ruin his life for me. What if through some miracle I were granted an estate of my own? I might consider it. Then, perhaps. Oscar and I have been together so long, I don't know what I would do without him. He's sometimes clumsy and foolish, yes, but with a heart like a star. Always optimistic, always dreaming, always kind, and sometimes, I imagine. No, he's a prince. He's allowed to be a dreamer. I can't afford to waste my time thinking about what might have been. I don't want to lose him, but I have no choice. Falling in love would only bring disaster. Whatever my feelings, I must harden my heart against him. At least he's had the sense to avoid the indignity of a scene. He claims this letter ends the matter with no reply necessary. If we never speak of this again, he can believe whatever comforts him most. That's what matters, after all, his comfort, his future. But if this necklace is a love token, wearing it openly might give him false hope, or raise questions from others. It would not benefit his chances with a princess to have me seen as his paramour. Oh, okay. Well, I feel like if I don't wear it, I'm not supposed to make him fall in love with me. I don't think. But given the nature of the mindset of a person raised in Western culture, it's kind of like, you know, that the story is playing on, you know, she could maybe possibly get in a state of her own, and you don't want to drive him away completely. Oh, damn it. I think I'm gonna wear the necklace. The only thing that Oscar asked for was a sign that I knew and accepted his feelings, not that I shared them. How can I deny him that? Oh, you foolish girl. I fastened the clasp of the chain behind my neck and let the smooth cold stone settle against my chest. It's just a little trinket after all. No one but Oscar will even notice. So then, that is resolved. It is done, and I don't need to think about it again. But then, what should I think about? I'm at a loose end. I have no assignments or tasks to perform. I can't help Oscar in any way until he returns in the evening, and the servants' dinner will not be available for hours yet. With no goal in mind, there's nothing to be gained at the moment by exploring, and thus no balance to the risk of being caught somewhere I shouldn't be. In Ossendauer, I would have many options available for any windfall of free time, but there are limits to how one should amuse oneself in a foreign palace. Mending, if it were needed, breeding, cards. I withdraw 2 decks of cards from my belongings and begin to arrange them into the 10 tableaux of a thieves' fortress. It is a difficult game, requiring patience and skill. Extracting kings and wisdoms from a solid castle should never be an easy task. As for the lesser royals, they sometimes extract themselves. Oscar must have dodged all of his minders in order to buy that token without raising questions. Well, if I provided motivation for him to stretch himself a bit, that's all to the good. A prince should learn to plan ahead and to take bold action. His parents might not be pleased by his reasons, but better a misguided attachment than some foolish plan about joining the jongleurs or apprenticing to an alchemist. Indeed. One card, then another. I've done my job. I love it. Oh, the mind of a woman, always moving, always thinking. Actually, there is like scientific research done that says that men are actually capable of not thinking, and women are incapable of not thinking. This is we're obviously inside the mind of a woman because she's doing her thing and she's still thinking about all this other crap. Also, women can multitask a lot better than men can, and this just displays that as well. I've done my job the best that I could. I have straightened his posture and flattered his looks. I have kept him active but unharmed. I have eavesdropped and intrigued on his behalf. If I had truly convinced him to give up the poetry, I could consider it a complete success. But on the balance, all is well. No doubt he will make a royal marriage at some point. Only, not too soon, I hope. He's so young, and I'm not ready to move on. Sometime later, my card game is interrupted by a knock at the door. Opening it, I find a young woman in the livery of a page. Young, yes. Younger than myself, if I am any guess, but old for such a rank, 14 being the usual age in Osendar. You're summoned to the upper servants' dinner.
You're summoned to the upper servants' dinner, miss. I'll escort you, yes?
I can find my own way.
Oh, you may be good, but it's my job. I'll walk with you.
Fine. No doubt she's dawdling with me in order to avoid some more onerous duty. I can't blame her. I've played the same game myself.
That's a pretty thing you're wearing.
My hand flies by instinct to cover the amber stone. I force myself to relax. Thank you.
Mind your toes at dinner, miss. That Sophie's folk are here, and they're hard people.
Sophie?
The Duchess Sophia, only she's not here, on account of she's just had a baby, you see. But she's cousin to the princess, so she had to send her people, and they complain about everything. You'll see.
And her husband, the Duke?
Duke Farah. He's at the ball, of course.
Of course. And if I were to wish to catch a glimpse of such an illustrious personage? Words?
Such a what? Oh, you want to spy on the ball? Easiest way is through the servants' door in the second morning hall. You turn left and go up a half stair to the viewing passage. Different way's better if you want to get in fast when someone calls you, but just for looking, that's the best.
Thank you. Her language skills may be unpolished, but she does know her way around. She might even be a useful source of information during our stay here.
Have you heard any interesting stories lately?
Oh, what a sleuth you are, Madeleine.
Always stories with so many guests, miss. There's a gentleman's son throwing coals a cause, and some other fellows wearing the same tailoring. I heard it from the booty bay that one of them had to be sent home in disgrace for planning to cause a scene at the ball. They were going to have a fight about clothes.
They were going to have a fight about clothes?
Oh no, it wasn't those. This was a young lady who'd heard the story about the princess dying of the plug. Well, there's a sour bite to say it, but there's rumors sometimes.
The plague, you don't say.
What rumors?
That the little princess went the same way as her brother Caspian, and the one we've got now is an impostor.
God damn it, dog. Stop barking.
Anyone who's ever seen the princess and the king's wisdom together knows better. Some little miss who hadn't was planning to make a name for herself until her lord father, who had, got wind of it. Imagine that, standing plain as you please, telling all the lady whatevers they're cuckoos and not ladies at all. You'd turn the whole country upside down.
I shudder at the thought. But there's no truth to it.
Not to that, no, but I'd like to see it anyway. What sort of person
would want to see a woman told that her parents aren't her parents? Exactly. Even if your family no longer cares about you, even if you've never missed them, they're what made you. To have that taken away and in public for everyone to see your humiliation, how could anyone want that? Such a common, mean-spirited girl might make a useful informant, but I certainly could never trust her with anything. Yeah, no, she's blurting out everything she hears.
Begging your pardon, miss, but we're there now. Have a nice meal.
She leaves me to enter the dining room. As a lower servant, her own supper will not be for some time yet. And so I join the others of my rank, the confidants and supporters of the noble elite. It's not difficult to identify the footmen of Duke Farad. Despite their position, they are a mismatched pair in clothing so plain that it barely merits the title of uniform. They sit in silence and stare at the palace servants, who give them a wide berth. It would appear there is some long-standing disagreement in Wellenor between the royal family and this Duke and Duchess, one that extends even to the servant ranks. The attendants of the other guests are far more sociable, even Prince Gaston's shy little maid. We are all made welcome at the table, and the generous helpings of well-prepared food, much of which is still warm. Accompanying our meal is a pale and delicate sherry of a variety which does not keep well once the bottles have been breached. Thus, we are encouraged to drain it dry. I myself partake only moderately, but Prince Nazagi's chef valet appears to be half-fished. Or to be half-fish by the way he drinks. Yeah. Oh, chief valet, not chef valet. At the conclusion of the meal, we are treated to pastries and tiger nut milk, and all assembled are duly awed by the royal largesse, a meal of sorts. Afterwards, the proper thing to do is return to our rooms to await my master. What I intend to do, of course, is something less than proper, to find the viewing chamber that the page mentioned, and cast my eyes over the festivities. Guarding Oscar from hidden dangers is another facet of my role, whether those dangers be a sword in a dark alley or a social schemer out to trip him. Anything could happen to him if I'm not there to watch. I'm sure everything is fine. Oscar has never had any difficulties with dancing lessons. Still, he might make little mistakes, and it would fall to me to discover those faults and train them out. He is, after all, a prize stallion of a sort. Shaking my head slightly at the image of Oscar as a fearsome warhorse, I slip into the servants' passages. It is clear that these unfinished corridors are not intended for the eyes of those above the salt. Even in the dim lighting, the exposed surfaces are a rough contrast to the splendor elsewhere. Dark, yes, but not very dusty. Either someone is assigned to clean even these unseen areas, or this location gets far more use than I'd expect. Perhaps there are always dances, or perhaps there are so few that this passage makes the ideal rendezvous point for more private pursuits. There, a peephole. The crush of music and laughter is already clear. Moving closer, I can see wigs and ball gowns below. Oscar must be out there somewhere, but it may take a few minutes to pick him out. Okay, so I'm actually all out of time. My initial thoughts on this game. So I've read really, really raving good reviews about this, okay? But I would say that you gotta hang in there because it starts out a little bit slow to get into the story, I think. I mean, you're just learning all these new characters, and you're learning all this backstory of the kingdoms and whatnot, and so it can get a little bit lengthy. I understand that. If you made it this far, bravo for you, because holy crap, 40 minutes of almost nothing happening other than a few brief flirtatious moments with Oscar. But with that in mind, I have a feeling that this is actually going to pick up and get really, really interesting really fast based on all the high reviews and everything. And honestly, it's not a boring story, although it is, so far, it seems rather cliche. You know, the servant girl who is in love with the prince is in love with her, but they never can because it's just not proper, and, you know, all that. You know, that's very, very classic. But it seems like there are, from the reviews, there's a lot of other stuff yet to come in terms of maybe even like averting wars and stuff like that. So we'll see. Anyway, so when we come back, we will see what Madeleine sees through this keyhole. And of course, Oscar's going to probably, my guess is she'll find Oscar rather quickly because he's going to do something stupid. So thank you all, everybody, so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. My name is Zaru, and this is The Babblers.